Titty.
Yo.
We're recording the conversation with you right now.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
That's right.
Why don't you bring us in? Go ahead and record an intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the 101 freeway in my wife's car because mine's broken down. Let's get into it from my iPhone.
Yeah, that's a little too real. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Get Into It. We are here in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. Dave made the trek.
Wonderful out here.
To come to the Sedona Film Festival. Tootie, who you heard prior to us starting the show, is not able to come because real talk, people have to work. He does makeup for Mario Lopez. That's his livelihood. That's how he takes care of his kids. So when Dave and I have to come up and do the festival, it has to be without Titty. I want to get right into our guest today because he's eclectic. He's done an enormous amount of work. He knows everybody. Are you an activist?
Of course.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
And it took me a while to accept that, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. You know, we sort of reconnected through Almaraz and through Gaytino, which is your wonderful... it's kind of like a musical play. A little bit. It's got music in it.
I would say it's a musical play.
Yeah.
A play with music.
A play with music. And now you have Gaytino, which is Made in America, which is the movie version.
Correct.
Of it, which is here at the Sedona Film Festival. But you've done an enormous amount of work. You've been connected and responsible for moving the careers forward of incredible Latino actors and performers. And you talked about it, a little bit last night, which I found fascinating. But it is Dan Guerrero, ladies and gentlemen, is here today with us to talk about his career, his journey, and what's happening right now with Gaytino, which is doing extremely well, and it's got all the buzz here at Sedona.
I love buzz. I love buzz. I'm glad this isn't. It's not television, right?
Yeah, no, it's not.
Thank God.
No, we're good. But I'm glad you're doing this. I think it's important for people to hear about how you've traveled through the business with such grace. So, how did you get started?
Oh my God! How did I get started?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up, with a showbiz fellow. My dad was Lalo Guerrero, the father of Chicano music. So early on, first time I ever saw Dad was performing at the $1 Million. And that's my earliest memory of being on stage, seeing him on stage. So by junior high, I was in school plays and, all that kind of stuff. So it's always been there. And
what did you want to do, though, when you were in high school doing the plays? What were you thinking?
I don't know. I just liked it. Liked it. And here's the weird thing, because I'm not exactly shy, right? But the truth is, every time I was going to go on stage, I was petrified. But it's like something I knew I had to do, and so I had to work through that. But everyone thinks that I was immediately going, hello, center stage, but it wasn't. It was difficult for me. And but it was there, and I just liked performing, always liked performing. And the big break came in my psyche when my junior high school teacher, that was Kern Junior High, which is now Griffith is now called. They named a school in East LA after D.W. Griffith. Will you tell me why? Is that ridiculous? My junior high school drama teacher, Mrs. Jourdain, took us to the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood to see, in its first run, this is about 1954 or 55, Oklahoma, the musical Oklahoma. I'd never seen a musical. I didn't know what one was. All I cared about is we were going to Hollywood. And so I see that, and I'm like, holy crap, wait a minute. You can go through life singing and dancing? I want to do that. So that was it. So then I started to buy every single LP of every Broadway musical. At the time it would be My Fair Lady and Camelot, Bye Bye Birdie. And so sure enough, I went to Garfield and East LA College, and 3 months after graduation, Carlos Almaraz and I took off for New York. Think about this. I want people to really grasp it. Not so you could say, wow, is he great? But just the picture. You're talking about two Chicanitos from East LA going to New York in 1962.
Yeah.
People weren't zapping back and forth like today.
Right.
you know, and we didn't know anybody there. We wouldn't even know anybody who'd been there. We had seen breakfast at Tiffany's. That's as much as we knew about New York City. And I totally wanted to be Holly Golightly.
Right.
And I came very close. And off we went. Can you believe that? You know, the things you do when you're young, you know. Now, people say it was brave, and I guess it was, but I knew that all I had to do was pick up the phone, and my parents would send me.
Right. Were you
an
scared when you
airplane
arrived?
No. Oh, my God. Are you kidding? The minute I stepped foot there and I started to see the energy and the people talking and the accents, I thought, I'm home. I'm home.
Yeah.
And I stayed 20 years.
Yeah.
Carlos went back in 3 months, which was our plan, really.
Yeah.
He took a semester off of art school, wherever, Cal State maybe, I don't know where he was at that time, to kind of help set me up. You know,
Yeah.
Carlos was a year younger,
Yeah.
but he was like an older brother because I was a very protected child.
Yeah.
I was very protected. And Carlos ran his house,
Yeah.
you know. So he knew I wanted to go, and so he really went to help get me there.
I find it really interesting, and I watched Gaytino.
Were you riveted?
Yesterday? I was riveted, but what was
I was.
What did you think, Dave?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I expected, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It turned out something
Much
greater.
more, right?
Way much more. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to expect because he didn't tell me.
That's exciting because I was like, "You're coming to this thing. It's Gaytino," and I didn't have time to explain because playing golf and
Yeah.
whatever we're doing. But
it worked out
That's the
perfect.
best way to watch a movie.
Exactly.
But what I did find fascinating is the idea that, and not because it was Carlos, but because it's hard to separate from someone that you'd make a journey with.
Oh, my
And then all
God.
of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to go my way, you go yours. But it's also very cool when someone finds a city and says, this city's for me.
I just knew it that second, and it was difficult. Carlos and I met in grade school.
Yeah.
You know, we met at Humphreys Elementary School. And
You had dreams together, right? You were
Totally.
going to conquer
totally.
stuff. Yeah.
He wrote, remember when they did the first time ever they did a Hispanic, God, I hate that word, exhibition or whatever at LACMA.
Yeah.
It must have been in the 80s,
Yeah.
I guess. And Carlos was in it. And he gave me the catalog, and he signed it. And then I read some article somewhere where he said at the same time that he had been saved by his friendship with me in school.
Yeah.
Which I found I thought, oh my God. I mean, I knew that I'd never used that word in particular, but I knew that he got me through.
Yeah.
He got me through everything, but I guess I helped get him through as
Right.
well. And so we met because we each had a mutual friend at Humphreys, Ishmael Ramos. I can kind of see his face. And Ishmael kept saying to me, you got to meet Charles, because he was Charles at that time. And I was Eddie. Dan is my middle name, which I took when I moved to New York. You got to meet Charles. You got to meet. And he's saying to Charles, you got to meet Eddie. You got to meet Eddie. And he introduced us one day, and that was the end of Ishmael Ramos. We never saw him again.
Oh, you guys connected so
We
much.
just
it was
connected
over.
instantly. and years, as adults, one of us would out of nowhere say, I wonder whatever happened to Ishmael
That's
Ramos.
hilarious.
I should look him up on Facebook.
You got to give that guy credit, though, right? He puts people together. That's probably what he does for a living now.
And I'm saying, I'm sure you've experienced it, but it's rare where you just connect. That young filmmaker, Miles, I just met him. His short preceded my feature. We never met. Hi. We're like, I know we're going to be
Instant
friends.
buddies, yeah.
We just, we connected.
What is the name of his movie?
Aaron, E-R-I-N.
Aaron. So when you got to New York, was it acting that you wanted to do?
Musicals.
It was musical. So
I was never an actor. I've always just been a personality.
Yeah.
Even my Gaytino, I'm a storyteller. I'm not really an actor. I'm a storyteller.
I was watching this documentary about Steven Spielberg, and they've got these whole movies similar to the ones you guys have, where he's with these 4 iconic filmmakers, one of them being George Lucas, one of them Dino De Laurenti, and there's another one that I can't remember, but it makes you realize that you may be, and like you were, with people that will make history.
Well, I think those kind of people attract each other. If Miles' film hadn't been so good, I don't know we would have connected so much, but it was so good that you start to connect on that.
Yeah.
creative
Is that how
level.
you are, Dan? If the film wouldn't have been so good, maybe you don't
I
connect
would
with
have
the guy?
dumped him like a hot patootie. No. I'm just saying that
You're attracted to talent, is
that's
what you're
right.
saying, right?
I'm attracted to talent, and I respect talent.
Yeah, you
know.
do.
After getting him back to New York for a second, because it ties in with talent.
Yeah.
I did do musicals and all kinds of stuff in New York. I never did Broadway, but I did lots and lots of stuff. But it was hard because you're talking the 60s.
Yeah.
And to them, I was like, what are you? They thought I was, oftentimes I would not get roles because the agent thought I was, the producers thought I was too Mediterranean. They didn't know what a Chicano was. There was one Mexican restaurant in all of Manhattan. One.
Is that true? It probably wasn't
Down
very
in
good.
the Village.
Taco Bell.
No, this pre-Taco Bell. Puerto Ricans hadn't even started yet.
Yeah.
You know, so I was really some odd
Right.
creature. So at one point, quite by accident, I started working for my own agent. And I really liked it. And all of a sudden, I found myself being a Broadway theatrical agent, which I was for about a dozen years.
Wow.
From a chorus line to Cats.
Yeah.
My first contracts were half the original cast of Chorus Line, the original.
That's
My last
amazing.
contract was Cats for Old Deuteronomy. Ken
So
Page.
let's focus in on this for a second because this is interesting. So you were in musicals in school. You went to New York after college. You were doing what you thought you wanted to do, which was acting and singing on in stage, and eventually get to Broadway. You end up working for your agent, and then the opportunity to have a career shows up.
Yes. It started part-time. Well,
Yeah.
you can do auditions and go off and do
Yeah,
kind of, and
whatever
all
you
of a
want.
sudden, I was running the office.
Right.
And I enjoyed going to see some little church basement theater. I love her, and you know, I liked it. And so what? Why not? I've kind of gone where life takes me.
Yeah.
You know, I think you have to be flexible in life. You can have your dream, but let me tell you, it's not a straight line.
No.
You make a left, you make a right, you go over that rock, you go under that bridge. Sometimes it's not pretty, but you know, you just move forward. I'm all about moving forward, no matter what. Even there are times when you think, okay, I'm never going to work again, or oh my God, the mortgage is due, and when is that check coming in, or whatever. But you can't let it stop you.
Were there people discovered that you can remember?
Well, I was the
Chorus
first
Line?
agent for a little girl named Sarah Jessica Parker.
Wow. Wasn't she an Annie? No.
Yes,
She was,
but
right?
after.
Oh,
long
after, yeah.
No, I literally talk about a casting director. Casting director friend of mine had a cast all everything when Pinter was doing. You know, when a Pinter play would come to Broadway.
Yes.
And he called me and he said, "Dan, do you represent children?" I said, "Well, I don't, but the agency has the children's aid." He said, "There are this brother and sister that are understudying the two kids in The Innocents with Claire Bloom. They're spectacular. They came here from Ohio on Easter break. You've got to come see them." I said, "Well, I'll bring the children's agent." And so I did. And it was an 11-year-old Sarah Jessica and her brother Toby. And we signed them. And even though I was not the children's agent, she and I connected. Like Miles and me,
Right,
and
yeah,
Carlos
exactly.
and me.
She had talent.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we just connected, and I still know her to this day. And you know, and every time we meet, she goes, "Oh, this is my first agent." I mean,
she's lovely.
She's a darling woman. So so you know, but a lot slipped through your fingers. I remember there's all this buzz. There's this woman. She's fantastic. She's going to do Barnum on Broadway, and she's here. She's going to Glenn Close. Or there's this kid. He just got out of acting school. He just arrived, and my best friend, who's now New York's top entertainment attorney, you got to meet this new kid. And I tried, and I could never sign him because he was so busy, and that was Tom Cruise. So the interesting thing is that real talent, you see it early, you know. So when they say this one discovered them, anybody would have.
That's right.
You know, they're just there. So who gets there first?
Yeah.
You know. So
Well, we're going to fast forward to 12 years after you became an agent, but I got to tell you a story about Tom Cruise real fast. So my brothers, right? They're East LA. We're all from East LA. They're very Latino, very Chicano. And my brother Rick and Victor are in the kitchen one day, and I'm young. I must be in my teens. And
are you the baby?
I am, yeah. And LA Times shows up, and Tom Cruise is in it. And my brother looks over at me and goes like, Did you see this dude, this Mexican guy, Tom Cruise? He's doing good, Holmes. So they thought he was Mexican because his name was Tom Cruise. That changed quick.
Yeah.
But let's fast forward. So you have like this great career as an agent, working with actors, and 12 years passes, and you're doing great. And then what happens? Like what
Min
road?
5A.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after, it was about a dozen years, and I thought if I look at one more 8x10 glossy with a resume, and, and I was going to theater, 5 nights a week, and I mean, it was a great life, but it wasn't even so much that as much as New York was getting to me. The brutal hot summers and the freezing winters, and by that time, this thought process, I'm 38, 39.
Did you live in Manhattan?
I lived in Manhattan.
You did? Oh, okay, that's hard.
75th and Columbus. But then I moved to Brooklyn Heights.
Okay.
Right along the river there, and I was there for like 15 years. But it was New York was making me crazy, and I thought, you know what? I don't want to be 65 years old, which now to me seems young, by the way.
You were
I
a
don't want to be
kid.
65 and walking down the street afraid to slip on the ice or going up and down subway stair. I just don't want to do it. So at age 40, I did almost what I did at age 21. I went back to L.A. I knew no one except my parents.
Right.
I didn't know anybody, and I was 40. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I was not going to be an agent. I thought, well, see what happens. Maybe I'll go back to acting, or I just didn't know. I just knew it was time for me to leave New York. So as opposed to a 4-flight walk up with 1 bedroom and a kitchen the size of this coffee table here, I come out and I rent 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, big terrace
For the same price.
in West Hollywood. Yeah, and I'm like, well, this was a good move. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but your reputation precedes you.
Right.
And while you're busy doing your work, you're not thinking that you're building a reputation. You're building a name. You never think about it. You're just doing your job and paying your bills.
And a lot of actors that you had met trusted you. There was a lot of trust
Yes.
in the idea that Dan Guerrero was an honest, hardworking, trustworthy
Correct.
industry person.
With good taste.
With good taste.
Because I get a call one day from a casting director friend in New York who knew all those things you're talking about.
Right.
I always sent him good people,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. What are you doing? I said, I'm unpacking my Barbra Streisand albums. Why? He goes, Tommy Toon is going to be going out there to do 9. And do you want to cast it? It starts at the Almonds and then, oh, okay, sure. Because in those days, there was still money. The producers would do all their New York auditions, and then they would hire someone in L.A. to do, 2-3 weeks, see 300 people, and then pick 5 of the best for each role. And they'd fly out on a weekend and see everybody. People they really liked, they flew back to get into the mix for finals there. So before I knew it, I was casting Torch Song Trilogy. I was sitting with Arthur Lawrence and Stephen Sondheim casting this, and which I loved even more because as an agent, you're dealing only with the casting person.
Yeah.
But as a casting person, you're dealing with the director, the real creative
Well, you have an
source.
impact, right?
Yes.
You can say, hey, by the way, I really, this person is.
Yes,
Right, yeah.
and you can talk them into it.
Yeah.
And that's when, and of course, I came out thinking there's going to be a big Latino market. We're talking 1982. I thought there ain't going to be many Chicanos or Latinos with my background.
Right.
I had been, quote, in the mainstream
Yeah.
for 20 years.
Yeah.
I didn't need to cross over into it.
No.
Well, was I shocked when I got here and there wasn't any market. There was a handful of Latino actors, no Latino producers, no Latino directors, no nothing.
Right.
But as casting, when you say activist, there's all kinds of ways to be an activist. So I'm casting, and I'd look at a script and I say to the guy, this role here just says doctor, blah, blah, there's 3 good scenes. Couldn't that be a Latino? It takes place in L.A. Oh, okay. So I'd bring in Latino actors, and including a pubescent 8 or 9-year-old Mario Lopez, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hey, Rio.
And, there was Lupe Ontiveros, there was Robert Beltran, Richard Iniguez. There was maybe 10 actors, and that was pretty much
Tony
it.
Plano.
Tony. And
Can I just ask you real quick about Tony Plana?
I love Tony.
Yeah, Tony Plana is like Pacino level ability.
Oh, he's a fantastic actor.
I mean,
but there is some, Sal Lopez.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, they're as good as any fucking. Oh, can you say fucking?
Yeah, sure.
Actor.
Yeah.
But it is more difficult. Hi, darling. How are you?
Does he's a star here in Sedona, man. Gaytino's doing very well. Edward James Olmos, Tony Plana, people like that, do they have trouble, or did they have trouble at some point getting parts, or were they just always just superb?
A lot of it is timing. Look at Eddie Olmos. He became a star because of Zoot Suit.
Yeah.
Overnight he was suddenly there, and there was something exotic about a Mexican, a Chicano actor. Like they never thought of it. So if a role would come up, how much competition do you think there was?
Not a lot.
That's right.
Right.
Same thing for me. When I started producing.
Yeah, by the way, we're going to get to you producing because that's a big part of your life too. You did some huge things. But I worked, my very first thing I ever worked on in the business was Three Amigos.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to be right there when Tony Plana and Alfonso Arau were doing their scenes, and I just thought these guys are, and they were the movie. I mean, I know Chevy Chase, Steve Martin Short were in it, but they were the movie.
Yeah.
Tony Plana and Alfonso Arau were killing the movie. Like they were just taking it over every scene they were in. So you're casting young Latino Hollywood, and bringing them in and influencing producers to give Latinos a try.
And at the same time, I'm writing a weekly entertainment column for Dramalog. Remember Dramalog?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And of course, every 2 or 3 issues, I'd feature a Latino. I think I might have been almost Jimmy Smith's first interview when he came out for L.A. Law.
Another great one.
As soon as I saw Latino, I want to interview him. And that darling man, to this day, he's just the dearest, greatest guy. He was one of the very, very, very first when I did the crowdfunding campaign for Gaytino, who
that donated. I must have been
Jimmy.
up at the top of the list too.
Huh?
I must have been up at the top of the.
I must have gotten lost
donation.
in the mail because
No.
I don't recall a check.
I think I did it on online with my credit card.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
well, thank you very much.
I might have decided not to put my name on it. I don't know.
That's possible because some people said no. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, yeah.
So Jimmy Smith, yeah.
Jimmy Smith. So I was, writing about Latino actors. I was trying to cast them as best I could.
Were you getting resistance, or you were just
Oddly
sneaking
enough,
it
no.
in? Yeah.
No, oddly enough, no. And that's why I get pissed because I have friends. Not long ago, a friend of mine, big director, I won't say who, did a 1-hour pilot for ABC, I think, and it was a drama in L.A. today. And he invites people to his home to see it. There's maybe 20 of us there. And do you think there was a Latino? As we all do. I'm sitting there waiting. All right. Well, you're waiting and nothing. So it's over. It was, the screen goes up and I go, excuse me, let me ask you something. I couldn't help it. I said, did you not see any Latino actors? Well, yeah. I said, and there wasn't one? Not a single one that was good enough here? Well, and everybody's like,
I know.
But I didn't care. I thought, what the fuck? How can you? I said, I can think of 10 right now for every role there that could have been a Latino.
Right.
It still amazes me because it's not hard, but it does take somebody from the inside. When I was casting, you can influence.
Right.
But if there's no Latino involved in the project at all, which is usually the case, it doesn't even occur to them. They're not keeping us out on purpose. It doesn't even occur to them, which is even worse in my book.
I think it's important that we do our jobs in presenting ideas rather than getting upset.
You can only do your job if you're there. I was
asked.
part of that. What did they call us? Cultural Advisory Council for Coco.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And they were smart and they were wonderful.
Was there a lot of conversation
Oh,
about?
my God, yes. Oh, no. I think there were 3 groups, and all Latino educators, musicologists. I don't know what I fit in, but I was there too.
Yeah.
Luis Valdez, Lalo Alcaraz, Herb Sigüenza. And the first time we went up, they showed us.
Did you also do a voice?
No.
Oh, no. You were
wish
just consulting.
Herbert did.
Yeah, I know Herbert.
It was, line drawings, just sketch. And a VO track. The script was pretty well finished. A VO track with just, the secretary, here, read this, not actors. Except Renee Victor was one of them. And afterwards I said, was that Renee Victor? And they go, yeah. But anyway, it was just, and let me tell you, already it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous because I thought, oh my, they flew us up there to Pixar and everything, and I thought, what if I hate it, or what did we say? And you don't want to insult them, but that's why they brought you.
Was there comments? Did you have
Of
comments?
course,
Yeah.
but only cultural, and that's
Yeah.
the whole point.
Yeah, right.
My first one was, excuse me, you've got Miguel and his abuelita saying, here, mijo, put this picture on the altar, and he runs in, he puts a picture on the altar and runs out. I said, nobody's going to know what the hell that altar is.
Right. Does it
So
make
now,
the sign of
as
the
you
cross
know,
or
there's a whole
something?
scene where she explains the altar to
Right.
Miguel.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
You know, now I'm not saying,
but
I'm
the
only-
influence of the opinions
Yes,
made a
but
difference.
the best one, and it might have been Herbert, I don't know, but somebody said, yeah, the scene where she's chasing with a broom, it should be a chancla.
Yeah.
And we
totally.
were, and we were all, yes, oh, the chancla.
Chancla is
the dreaded
awesome,
chancla,
yeah.
You know, so they listened.
Yeah.
They listened. They took our advice. I think we went up over a year or so, 3 times maybe
Wow,
as it
that's
went
so
along.
cool.
But I'm saying they did it right, and it paid off.
Yeah.
And the, I think he was co-director, head writer, Adrian Molina, a Gaytino. And great guy. So they had somebody who knew the culture, and he's
Yeah.
very gifted. I think he's been with them a while. They didn't bring him in for this. He
Yeah.
worked there already. But this gig was a big jump for him. I just got an email from him, as a matter of fact. Nice guy. Young, I don't know, 30s or something. But they did it right.
That's awesome. Well, that's different than a Mexican-American consultation. That is actually culturally, it has to be culturally correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. They were very smart. Don't forget the disaster of that other Day of the Dead movie. I forget
Right.
what it was, the Book of Life or something.
Book of
I never
Life.
saw it.
Right.
But, they roasted it.
Right.
So when they decided to tackle the theme, they said, let's do this right. And
Yeah,
they did.
you can't just dip it in cultural. You have to. It has to come from the inside. It's funny because I tried so hard not to cry on that movie.
Oh, it's impossible.
I was like, I'm not going to cry.
no, I cried every time.
I said, I
Every
ain't
time.
tripping. And then every time I cried at the
He
end.
cried twice yesterday, by the way.
During Gaytino?
I teared up a little bit.
It was after he missed his putt.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's funny.
oh God. golfing people, they're
did.
their own breed.
It was terrific.
Oh, God.
What a beautiful time we've had. But so let me ask you this: of all the parts that were in Pixar's Coco, there was not one part for Mario Lopez.
Never mind that. How about Dan Guerrero?
That's right. You should have got there. I'm sorry.
The hell with Mario. He
By
doesn't
the
need
way,
to work.
Rio can't do it. He's too busy. He's doing 50 other things at
Yeah.
the same time. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. So Coco was an important movie.
Of course.
It had a huge impact.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, it was big in Mexico or big
broke
in the
records.
US. China. I think one of the biggest money makers was China, It was so of course you would say, all right, now there's going to be 10 more animated features of Latino. Not yet, but Adrian, who just, as I say, emailed me. Thank you. That it just emailed me. Said he's working on a new Latino project because it takes years, as
Yeah.
you know. By the time we saw line drawings, they've been working on it for 3 years
Right.
or something. So there will be others. There will be others, I hope.
So moving on from that, you had your career as a casting director, which was enormously successful. Then you became a producer.
By accident.
How, again, someone said, "Hey,
No.
can you come produce this?"
No, this is a great story, and I say it not because it makes me look good, but so people know that especially our people, sometimes you just have to go, what about me?
Right.
And sometimes we're not good at that. We're like, well, if they want me, they'll ask. No, you can't. So I'm writing the entertainment column. I'm casting and big things. I'm not casting little.
No, you're
something
doing
here.
huge,
Big
huge things.
And I didn't cast commercials, but I did a couple for some reason. And the Spanish language actors would come in, and they didn't know how to audition because they never get a chance to. So I started the first bilingual TV commercial workshop.
Oh wow!
And I taught that. So I was doing all these things and making a dime at each in order to get 30 cents. And And I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. I'm running around like a madman. And one day I come home. Remember answering machines?
Yes.
There was and I go, hello, my name is Kieran Fisher, and we're doing a Spanish language product. I thought, oh yeah, even less money. I thought to myself, and project, and we understand you really know the community. So if you could call me back, here's another lesson: return every call.
phone call. Yeah.
Return every call. Like, remember Shaman said the same thing last night.
Yeah.
Mark Shaman,
Yeah.
7-time Oscar nominated Mark Shaman. You know, I say, and he's right. I say yes to everything.
Right.
You don't know, like, well, this job, you don't ever know where that's going to take you or what that connection is. You just don't. So I return the call. And then I hear Goober Peters Television, which, of course, was gigantic. And now, boy, now I'm interested. She comes to the phone. Now we need writers. And I said, well, blah, blah. And
By the way, they were running Sony. They were the heads of Sony.
Yeah. They were gigantic.
They were responsible for Batman.
They're huge.
Yeah.
And this and that. And we need this and we need. I said, well, what about me? I finally got sick of. I said, what about me? She said, well, you're a casting director and we already have a talent executive. I said, yes, but you're this was, by the way, a talk show for Paul Rodriguez.
Oh, okay.
Because they had a management arm,
okay.
and they wanted to produce a bilingual a talk show for him.
Yeah.
And I said, yes. I said, but, I was an agent in New York, so I know how to negotiate contracts. I write weekly columns. A talk show is all about interviewing guests and prepping, and I do this, and I do this, and I do that. And she goes, well, I think we should meet. I said, I think we should. So 2 days later, I go up and I meet with the big honchos. And 2 days after that, I'm the head writer on the new Paul Rodriguez show. I had never even been on a television set.
Wait a minute. Wait, time out. You were the head writer?
Yes. And I had 2 writers under me. They were both pissed because they felt
they should have been the writers. Right?
And I say, the hell with you. So head writer, and we do 13 shows, and then I'm bumped up to co-producer.
Wow.
And then I get bumped up to executive producer.
Sure, I saw that coming.
And then I was running Paul's company with 2 other partners, his production company. That was 3 years. For 3 years,
and
of
he
that.
was the biggest.
He was hotter than hot at that time. Here's another break. Eddie Dominguez.
Who we know, yeah.
Okay. Calls me. Hey, there's this wonderful novella actress. She's beautiful, and she wants to break into Hollywood. Who doesn't? And I'm still trying myself, trying to break into Hollywood, and she's going to be here for a month or whatever, but she can't get that kind of visa unless she has a job. Would you put her on your show? I said, well, send me some stuff on her. So they sent me some clippings.
This is the gay mafia is at work here. Yeah.
And there are 4 of us, and the Latinos, and the others.
The gay Latino mafia, which is much smaller.
Yeah, and so I look at the photos. I thought, well, she's pretty, fine. I said, okay, book her. Well, of all things, she's late.
Right.
And I'm not happy because we would do 3 one-hour talk shows with 3 different music guests in one day.
Wow.
That's
a month. So non-union Latino of you.
one, but it was A quality, believe me.
No, but why 3? Do they don't do 3 in a day?
No, here's why. Because Paul would be off doing all his stuff, and once a month on a weekend we do 3 on Saturday.
So that wasn't
and 3
his
on
main
Sunday,
job. Got it.
Because it was a weekly, and it was fine for us because we had a whole month to plan sketches and book, blah blah blah. So we're. Schedule, Raquel Wells also fucked me up, but that's a whole other story. And so this woman's late, and I'm not happy. Finally, they say, okay, the car just brought her, and I'm walking toward her, and in she walks, and she is so gorgeous, you cannot talk. Oh, I'm so sorry. And it's Salma Hayek.
Right.
Salma Hayek's first ever U.S. television appearance was because Eddie Dominguez and I booked her.
Can I make that's amazing.
And to her credit, to this day, when I run into her, Dan, she remembers, she talks about it.
Oh,
that's
wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, there's a connecting story here. When I was a young producer, I hadn't produced anything yet.
You're still young.
I wish. But when I was a young producer, I hadn't produced anything yet. Eddie Dominguez calls me up and says, hey, we're doing this Christmas thing at Channel 22. And, would you be interested in producing? And I said, I've never produced anything before. And he says, but you're not afraid of it. And I said, no. He goes, okay, well, be here tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Wow.
So I show up.
We love Eddie Dominguez.
Yeah, I show up. My first job ever as a producer, and I don't know that I'd be one today had he not offered that. So I show up there. It's a Christmas show. We don't have any money. They're doing like a special. He says, I'm going to host it because can't afford to pay anybody. So I'm like, great. So we're running around town shooting the different types of food that Latinos eat for Christmas. It was just a silly show for Christmas special. And he says, I've got someone coming in, must be the same time, that's going to co-host with me. She's a star in Mexico on this soap opera. And it's Salma Hayek.
No way.
Yeah.
It might have been. Was it early 90s?
Yeah. So she shows up. She shows up, and we're taking them all around town, and they're doing like, Eddie's terrific, right? So they're like having the time of their lives, eating and feeding each other. And it's Salma Hayek who no one really knows, except for when we go to malls, she's being mobbed by all of these people.
From the novela.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand,
it must have been the same time.
It had to be. I bet it was that same.
So I was starting my
window.
career when that was going on for you.
That's funny. And it's funny what you said. I don't know how to do one. Just yesterday, I was saying to Miles when I did the documentary on my dad. He said, "Had you done documentaries before?" I said, "No." I said, "But I've never done anything until I do it."
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh my God, I love that line." But it's true. I had never produced.
Yeah.
And I'm the head writer and I'm producing. But
you weren't afraid of it either. I think the theme of our show with Dan Guerrero today is "Don't be stopped."
Don't be square. Don't be scared or square. No, Now that being said, you better have talent.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I have talent. Obviously you have talent.
No, I had none. What's funny is that I did that show, and then Eddie's like, "Oh yeah, you're editing the pieces." So I remember getting into the editing room, and I was like, "Hey, can I see? Could I see that again, like with a different take?" And the guy turns around and says to me, "You know what? This isn't a school for producing.
Oh my God!
This is an editing room at a studio that does work. So either you tell me what to cut, or
rude.
Get someone who knows how to do it." So I immediately got the hair on my neck stood up, and I said, "Okay," and I called the cuts, and I did the show that way. It was amazing.
But you had the talent to do it.
I didn't run out screaming, but yeah, Eddie Dominguez. You got to give props to Eddie Dominguez. Without him, I would not be a producer. So thank you, Eddie.
We love Eddie Dominguez.
Yeah.
But that being said, there's plenty of people that have average talent who do quite well.
Extremely well, yeah.
But that's because they don't give up.
Right.
Right.
They don't give up.
They don't take no.
They don't take no. And some extremely talented people just can't handle that, or the rejection, or so it's because you don't want to be pushy, you don't want to be this, but you know what? More than ever, you better be pushy.
Yeah.
You better, as I say, if you don't toot your own horn, you remain tootless.
Tootless, right?
And you don't want to be tootless.
Yeah, I'm going to make a T-shirt out of that.
Yes, you should.
So you did Paul Rodriguez. You had success, and then you went on to produce other shows.
Yes, because remember we talked earlier about where's the competition?
Yeah.
I got so well known that
you're the guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
If there was a Latino themed a TV special or a PBS or that. Hello, Dan.
Right.
I didn't even have a resume.
How fun is that?
It was pretty friggin' fun. Unfortunately, it only lasted a decade.
That's still a long time.
Yeah. No, I had a decade of. I mean, I did tons of things.
The irony of a lot of the Latino actors we're talking about is that they don't speak Spanish. I think that's very funny. I think it's very funny.
It's true. But they learned. Cheech didn't. He's still not so good. Jimmy is good.
Almost.
No.
No,
Eddie. No, Eddie either. I mean, because look, it was
crazy.
that generation.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, it was a generation. Speak English. Be American.
That's me.
Yeah, that's now today it's different. The kids are being brought up bilingually, but it was a different time. Eva Longoria didn't speak Spanish, and now, oh my God.
She's tremendous at it now.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, for real.
Like authentic, yes.
Authentic is not just, some still speak Pocho Spanish. She sounds Mexican.
She directed 2 episodes of Ashley Garcia, and she also came in and did a part on it.
Yeah,
Do you have time for a quick Eva story? Because it's very funny.
Of course.
I did not know her, and she was... Desperate Housewives hadn't started yet, but already among Latinos, there's a Latina lead on Desperate Housewives and all the buzz, blah, blah, blah. So I'm at Paramount, some screening, and I see somebody I know, David Damian Figueroa, because they were good friends. Mm-hmm. I saw David, And I thought, oh, I went over to say hello, and all of a sudden I look, and it's Eva Longoria. And he goes, oh, Eva, this Dan Guerrero. And I'm about to say, and she goes, oh, Dan, of course. I auditioned for you once. And, of course, the blood, left my body. I thought, oh, my God, I hope it's a good story. She says, yes, it was for El Juez. There was a very big hit show called The Judge. This is sometime in the late 80s. And whoever owned it or created it decided to do a Spanish language version. And I was asked to cast it. That was really hard because they didn't want pocho Spanish. It had to be the real deal Spanish. And sometimes it was a role of a gringo. So I had to find somebody who was blonde, blue-eyed, but perfect Spanish. It was hard. So anyway, but they wanted the real deal, no pochos. So she says, yes, I came in to read for El Juez. I said, oh, my gosh. She goes, and she says, I finished my reading, and you looked at me and said, you don't speak Spanish, do you, dear? And when she said dear, I thought, yeah, that sounds like me.
Yeah, she had you. She nailed
and
you.
I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's, oh no, you couldn't have been nicer about it, but that was it. It was the dear that made me laugh. You don't speak Spanish, do you, dear?
That's funny. No, and gone on to do amazing things, and she's now
she's fit. I adore her. And her
trailblazer,
is flawless. Yeah, she's the real deal.
Mario and I talk a lot about, he doesn't do that many interviews in Spanish, and
he's from San Diego, right?
Yeah, we talk a lot about how pocho we are when we speak Spanish, and how it's not super cool to do interviews in Spanish when you know that you're saying words that are developed out of like East LA or Boyle Heights. Yeah. They're not really Mexican.
¿Dónde está el carro?
Yeah, carro.
There's no
like,
such
coche.
word as carro.
Right, isn't that funny?
Coche. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like I use coche a lot now, but I slip and say carro.
Don't be afraid. I wasn't taught Spanish growing up either. The only reason I even got pretty good at it was during Paul's show. Right. Those 3 years, we had so many. Because we had a mix. We'd have these big stars from Mexico sitting with Joan Rivers and Jack Lemmon and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And, everybody did that show. And so I got pretty good at it, but it's totally pocho. But I don't care. I am a pocho. Yeah. I'm from this side of the border.
Well, your parents are American. You're American.
Yes.
Right?
Both my parents were born and raised in Tucson. I was born in Tucson, So I don't care. I was going to do Gaytino, the play, at the Kennedy Center. I'm talking, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And, ¿cómo se llama? Jorge Ramos, major. He's like our Tom Brokaw on Univision. And he has a political show on Sundays, Al Punto con Jorge Ramos.
Right.
And his office called and asked if I could, on my way there, go through Miami and tape his show. And talk about Gaytino and my dad. And so I'm like, okay. I thought, oh, my God, my Spanish. So the whole time on the plane, I'm going, I'm getting my hair ready. And I did a 15-minute interview. And, of course, I knew there were going to be words like, LGBT community or social justice. And so I remember calling, oh, my God, Christina Chavez.
I know
Caesar's
Christina,
granddaughter.
sure.
I love her. How do you say social justice in Spanish? And I jotted down a few things. And I did it, and it was fine. And I took Dad's documentary to Cineteca Mexico, their AFI, and I did a 20-minute Q&A afterward. And when I didn't know a word, I said, ¿Cómo se dice? But and they yell it out. Okay, fine, go on. I am a pocho. Right. It's not a bad thing.
So do me a favor. Can you give me a little bit of what you did next? You could just name the shows. I think you did other talk shows as well, didn't you?
I did a talk show for Maria Conchita Alonso.
That's right. I used to watch that.
Oh, yeah. I love her.
Yeah, she was cool.
She's a wonderful lady. I did a talk show. Lots of music specials. I did a PBS special I was very proud of for Vicky, with Vicky Carr. It turns out that at the same time I went to KCET to pitch this idea, they were in talks with Vicky to do a special, but they didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And when I talked to Vicky, and she said, I'm in. And what it was all of these big Americans from the American Songbook, What a Difference a Day Makes, and Moonlight in Vermont. All those beautiful songs were all Spanish language songs first.
Right.
So this was a 1-hour special. 18-piece
How
orchestra.
fun is that? Yeah.
Of all these songs in the original Spanish lyric and the English lyric.
Oh, wow.
And we taped it at the ballroom at the Beverly Hilton.
Beverly
where they
Hilton,
do the
yes,
Golden Globes.
yes.
I said I want the setting to be an elegant nightclub of the 50s, like Ciro's, Mocambo, and black tie audience invited. Only invited audience, and she had 3 male guests, and one of them, I said, I want one of them to be a Mexican name, so that we might get that audience.
Right.
So I got Pepe Aguilar.
Oh, wow.
So I had Jack Jones, Pepe Aguilar, and Arturo Sandoval, because she had just done a record with him. And they were the 3 male guests. And they did, everything from Frenesí to What a Difference a Day Make in both languages. Jack would do it in English, you do it in Spanish.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Pepe Aguilar with her did, Vicky did, oh my God, Acércate más y más y más. And he did it in English too. He speaks perfect English.
That's amazing, yeah.
Perfect. And he was thrilled to be able to sing with a big orchestra, He always does mariachi, which of course he loves, but so that was that.
I almost remember that special too. Yeah.
I called it
Big deal.
Memories, Memorias. It was called. And the other biggie was I co-produced with Quincy Jones.
Hey, you dropped something.
Yeah. For President Clinton, who was it was the Summit of the Americas, was going to be in Miami. And there were going to be 34 world leaders from the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, wow.
And so Clinton called Quincy to produce some extravaganza. Then the rest is in my head. Quincy called the Kennedy Center to make it a Kennedy Center event, though it was not there. And they got their trillions. And then I always, in my mind, think he went to the World Atlas and saw that most of the Western Hemisphere speak Spanish.
Right.
And somehow
They
he
called
tracked
you.
me down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super cool.
Huge.
Well, that's a testament to your work and your body of work. Yeah.
Huge. And we did this, and I'm telling you, the Oscars are a backyard barbecue compared to this.
Yeah.
We broke it down into, you can't do every country. So South America was Brazil and Argentina. And then, of course, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, the U.S., and Canada.
Yeah.
And then we got the biggest names from each of those countries. It was mammoth. I mean, Maya Angelou talking to Celia Cruz, and Michael Douglas chatting with Ana Gabriel. It was
Amazing.
It was really something. So that was a biggie. That was a biggie. I like that.
Well,
one.
Dan, you've done an amazing amount of work in your life.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, you and Mark Shaman are completely need a massage.
But he's only 60. I'm
Right.
going to be 80 in October.
You don't look anywhere near 80. You're
No
the type.
way.
I think what they should do is like there should be like this rule that certain people should get more time to live. Like you would definitely be in the category of living to 150 because you got so much more to do.
There's
There's so much more to do.
I do have a lot to do.
But I don't want to stop without saying that you've made a big difference to my career and to a lot of Latino careers and a lot of us coming up in film and television and theater. And I thank you for all the work that you've done in your life. I think amazing things are coming. So, but I want to finish off by talking about Gaytino. We're here at the film festival.
Right.
You did your the play that has music in it. You sing, you dance, you tell your story. Why was it important to do Gaytino for you?
There were two big reasons. One was that I wanted to celebrate my dad, and I wanted to celebrate Carlos. I'm going to be strong here because I always get emotional. I didn't want people to forget them,
Yeah.
So that was a biggie. And the other was that I wanted people to know Chicano history. Even Chicanos don't know Chicano history.
Right. It's a very complicated subject.
Very complicated subject. But I wanted to celebrate Chicano culture and the gay experience because I would have young gay men shocked when they found out that the first time I saw two men holding hands was in the 70s, late 70s. And really? I'm like, what, you think this was all, they have no idea. So, and I knew that through my life. It's the same thing when I did Dad's documentary, which I called Lalo Guerrero, the original Chicano. Because I knew that through his life and career, you would get Chicano history.
Right.
And I knew I had led an extraordinary life, not because I was extraordinary, but I just did. I had these two forces, and I thought I had a story to tell. But those were the two main reasons. And I was desperate to put it on, film, because I was getting tired of doing it. Not to do the show.
Right.
That's nothing. I could do 90 minutes easy. But I had to fly somewhere.
Right.
Next day, 7 hours on my feet rehearsing and tech. Next day, a run through in the morning, performance at night, fly back. It was too much.
Keeping you young.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yes, but still, the money wasn't good enough for that much work.
Right.
But really, I wanted to preserve the stories.
Yeah, and you did.
I didn't want to croak and then have all those stories. You produced that magnificent documentary on Carlos, but mine is very different. I'm talking about what we were like as kids when we moved to New York. And who's going to know those stories but me?
Right.
Nobody.
And I loved that angle where it went from Charles to Carlos.
Yeah.
That was great. That really got me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
So those were the main things. And I'm thrilled that in addition to finally filming it with only the help of a million friends, financial help, talent help, I had Emmy winners volunteering and running cameras. And really, it was just friends that believed in the project and believed in me. I was very, I'm grateful is not nearly strong enough a word. But I raised enough money that I even did, which I thought I'd have to do way down the line. I already have a Spanish subtitle version
Good for
of
you.
Gaytino. So I'm starting to enter it into film festivals there. And I sent the EPK first, which was already translated to Cineteca Mexico.
Oh, good.
Because I hope those people are still there, and they were. And I said, I'm working on the subtitle, and they wrote back right away, Nelson, and he said, tenemos interés. And so I just sent them the film about 2 weeks ago.
That's great.
And hopefully they'll do. I mean, the ideal thing, the obvious, is they could screen it during Gay Pride, because Gay Pride in Mexico City is gigantic.
Right.
Yep.
Gigantic. So, and they'll know Dad from Zoot Suit, and there's that
Right.
whole segment. So I think there's a good shot. I'm hoping.
Yeah, there's so much more to talk about. We'll have to get together again when you distribute the film and when you find out where it's going. But it is a great movie. It's unique. I think it deserves to be seen. And I hope that you find a great distribution platform for it. But, will you let us know where it ends
I
up?
totally will.
Cool.
I just want to say about your father, Lalo, like, as soon as I went from the theater, I went and downloaded that music. It was amazing. So I'm going to go back home and look up the entire catalog. So
Cool.
You know what
Los
I'll do?
Chicos Suaves. Oh man, that's the jam right there.
Isn't that
That's
it?
the jam.
That is the jam. That's when I use in the credits.
That's
I mean,
perfect.
oh my God, that's
now I got to do it.
Now
All
I'm
right.
addicted. I'm like, oh, now I have
It's
to.
good stuff,
I have to
yeah.
dive in.
Here's what I'll do, because you've both been so kind. There's a set that's a DVD of the documentary and a CD with 20 of his original recordings,
Perfect.
including all the Zoot Suit original recordings. And the artwork is by Patsy Valdez. It's a really nice set. So I'll send one to each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. I need to end with our sponsor, extrememusic.com, who supports us and makes it possible for us to do the show. Extrememusic.com is a site that houses library music, and you can use it for movies, television, commercials, stuff like that.
I didn't know what it was called. Right.
Russ Emanuel came up with, this is one of the biggest in the world. We had him on the show when we first started, and we talked about mariachi music and authentic, Latino music. And I went to the site, and they have it. They have all of these different types of music. They have romantic music. They have classics. He's partners with Hans Zimmer. Shout out to extrememusic.com, where you can actually find anything for all of your music needs.
Fantastic.
Dan, thank you for being here. Thank you for
both.
joining us so
Thank you so
early,
much.
and I wish you tons of luck with Gaytino. It's terrific.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Hasta
thanks.
pronto.
Thanks
and
for being
remember, always move forward.
That's right. Don't be stopped.
And don't be scared.
Toot your own horn.
Toot
Toot your own horn, or
and-
you shall remain tootless.
There you go. Thanks for being here. See you next time.